Hey, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? It is B Vaughn here with another interview segment here on We Create Music TV. Tonight, we have music composer, songwriter, and producer Nasmore. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Glad to have you here. I'm interested in learning more about you. I've had a chance to do some research and listen to your music, so I'm interested in learning more about you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So, as I ask every guest, how did you get into this whole music world? What sparked you to get into this particular industry?
In my case, it was COVID.
Oh,
So
okay.
I received formal musical education back in my home country where I was born. And that formal musical education means 10 years of school, musical school, with majoring in piano. And it's one of those special schools where you have everything in it. It's not
Mm,
your kind of additional school. This is the only school you go to, and about 70% is all of studies dedicated to music, and only 30% is everything else, math and literature and whatever else. So music, including all of it, solfeggios and music history and whatnot. So I finished that school, and I was really at the end of it. I felt like I'm fed up, so I totally changed horses and changed my career and became totally something else.
wow.
Nothing to do with music, even though it gave me a lot in terms of being a kid that's been sort of constrained to that big task, right, to that main task. You learn how to work. They really teach you how to do that from
Mm,
being little, right? So, and then obviously it expands a lot of you, a lot of your feelings, a lot of your understanding, senses, and creativity. God knows what else.
mm,
So I did not really touch anything about it until last year,
wow.
where, oh yeah, so last, I believe, April or March, I decided, you know what, why don't I just grab a few, interesting tools here and there, get myself a nice keyboard, and try to do something about it.
Hmm,
And I obviously failed a couple times, which is totally normal
right.
because first my creations were totally ugly.
Look, isn't it all for us in the very beginning?
Um, I remember yourself growing up, right? How many times did you fall before you learned how to walk?
That's right.
So, and I realized that this is something that I would like to have on my, daily activities. So here you go. So I started uh, composing songs, thinking about a whole bunch of different scenarios, different genres. What would I do? What can I say?
Mm,
What can I tell? Actually, right? And here I am.
wow. Yeah. So how long had it been since you were in school? And well, I guess that's probably too much information, I guess. But
That's fine, but
I mean, because what I guess what I'm asking is because there was a gap in between learning the art and then going on with your life, completely doing something different, and now coming back to it in 2021. And so,
the gap, I believe, is few tens of years. I would say probably at least 30, maybe even
okay,
35.
wow. So you said COVID was the motivation behind getting back into music. So how did that start up? Is it
Not
that
really the motivation.
Oh.
It was kind of a precondition.
It was freaking. You were like, well, I figure I'll find something to do.
Well, you're working from home. You exactly. You have to find more activities, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's that obvious. You constrained. Everybody's on lockdown and whatnot. Especially last year, it was all crazy, lots of unknowns,
Mm-hmm.
and you have this plenty of time, right? So where would you spend it? Some
Mm.
people would do lots of Netflix, but
Right. Now you wanted to make sure that you wanted to make sure you were productive while you were
I
working from
yeah,
home.
I just can't sit still.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the same. I was the same way. I couldn't spend hours because I work from home. I've been working from home ever since COVID,
Hmm.
of course, hit here in the U.S. March of 2020. Was it 2020? 2019? Whew.
Hmm.
2020, I believe. And so for the past 2 years, I've been working from home. And so that has just afforded me the ability to do my job, of course, but then also find some other things that, like this, that was interesting as far as music and video and doing all those creative things as well. So
You
yeah,
acquire lots of new habits, right?
you acquire tons of new hobbies. Tons. I think and wonder how many people wasted. So let me go back because COVID is what it is, and it happened how it happened. People either, for whatever reason, either took advantage of it or did not take advantage of it. And I mean that from kind of what we're talking about, right? Okay,
Hmm.
we're home, we don't have anything to do, so I'm going to be a couch potato and watch Netflix all day. Or I can find something creative and productive to enhance what I do, my skill set, etc. And I think I can't say a lot because I don't know how many people, but I probably would say half of the people were productive and half people probably were not as productive. That's just a
Fair,
guesstimate.
absolutely.
That's just probably
I,
a guesstimate, knowing just the human condition and human behavior. So some people probably did, some people probably didn't.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I was
exactly. We acquired lots of not only hobbies but habits as well,
hobbies,
right?
hobbies and habits and stuff
Hmm.
and stuff.
Hmm.
I acquired stuff. I acquired yes, because I was at home. It gave me time to do other things, and I was like, oh, I could buy this. I could buy that. Look, oh, I could buy this, and I bought too much stuff.
I
And
tell you what,
yeah, I purchased.
prior prior to this interview, I was thinking, can I wear long johns?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm not on camera. every time, every time at work, where they would want to get on camera, I can't really get. I have camera problems today. I can't really get on camera. Yeah, no. But just recently, they were like, okay, we all got to get back on camera. Okay, I was like, ah, man, that means I got to kind of get dressed up from the waist up. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But right, getting dressed up from the waist up. But yeah, I was going to ask what happened in 2021 that was the major turning point for you, and I guess in that sense it was COVID, you know, and I don't know if there was anything else that transpired, if there was anything else that.
Mm, it's obviously more than that. Um, I realized probably, when I had some time to think, due to the COVID, some more of that free time that we all had a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I realized that um, I've been using probably my skills and creativity only in one direction, right? And I would say the last 30 years I've been telling other people what to do. And I decided, well, maybe it's time to actually listen to somebody else and learn and go back to school again.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
meaning
Okay.
learn, meaning learn something new, right? Which
Right.
is still new, right? Regardless of all the education,
Mm-hmm.
all that perfect speech and whatever else, right?
That's right.
It's still new. It's still learning not only how to produce music, how to work with other musicians, right? I don't sing by myself. I collaborate with different singers, but I believe that what gives me lots of freedom at the same time, because I'm
Mm,
thinking, if you are a singer, you sort of find your niche and you stick to what you're doing, right? Most of the time,
right.
like remain within your own, not just genre, but more of your own style, your own kind of vibe that you produce the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that being a music producer, composer, you're not really limited to that. You can do anything.
Anything.
One day, yeah, one day you can throw out this pop song, which is totally naughty, and then the other day it's something totally serious,
Mm-hmm.
of a different, totally in a totally different style and vibe and genre, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
No, go ahead.
so I realized, what, that's probably a good chance to try again my creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm doing.
That's right. Yeah, I think that I don't want to say being an artist has a shelf life, right? Because I don't think anything in that sense has a shelf life. I think you can be an artist, you can be 80 years old and be an artist, or you can be 80 years old and be a pianist, a composer. Um, I do believe that being a music producer, songwriter, and composer gives you much more flexibility in what you can do, right? Because I mean, we're behind the scenes pretty much. I mean, I produce music myself. We're behind the scenes, and so we're not really the face of the music that is out there. And we can produce any type of music. We're not limited to what our fans may want to listen to because we can work with multiple people and we can establish so many different sounds and so many ways to be creative. I think that's probably why I chose to be a music producer versus being a singer because I grew up as a singer. And
Hmm.
yeah, and so, I grew up
You're lucky you
listening.
can sing.
Well, no, I used to, but sometimes if you use, if you don't use it, you lose. No,
I
but
don't think so. There's
no,
this good
I don't think
saying.
so either.
There's this good saying that I love. It says, "There's no such thing as X.
Hmm. Yeah. Y'all hear
Once,
that?
once something, always something."
That's right. That's right. But yeah, so I used to sing, and now I just do production and, of course, videography type stuff. But I think being a composer, a songwriter, and a producer leaves you with that flexibility and creativity in many different ways. So that actually is one of the things that I do want to talk about is your own motivation for the music that you create. I had a chance to listen to a lot of it. And what's how are you able to stay as versatile as you are with the music that you create? And we'll get into a little bit later some of the particular songs that I want to talk about. Uh, but what leads to your own versatility when you are creating music?
So there is a process. On one hand, something that you kind of work from the square one towards the end result, right? So, but then there's always an accident. The accident that happens somewhere in the middle or in the beginning, which may turn you to change the horses as you go.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, and then that's I guess what happened with one of the singles. But um, let's talk about the scenario where you don't have any accidents. And in
Mm-hmm.
this scenario, I guess in my case, how do I explain it? Music comes to me first as a visual,
That's right.
a
What do you mean by
scene,
that?
or a conversation between people, or the episode of the movie or anything, but anything visual. That's how it comes to me. That's
Okay.
how it's born. So it could come as simple as after watching a movie,
Mm.
right? A good movie with,
It
yeah,
has
a
to be a
good
good,
movie.
right. It has to be a good movie.
Yeah, it has to be a good
That's
movie
right.
and good actors, right? And you somehow relate to what's happening in that movie in your mind, and you say, "Oh God, I should write a song that has that vibe, right? Because it's a good
Mm.
vibe. It must be really, it it will resonate with other people,
Right.
right? So most of the time, that's how it happens. It's not, in my case, it's not happening as if I have a plan to create a song that will go, viral and swipe the whole world.
Hmm.
No,
I
nothing
don't
like
know. I think people try to do that, but I don't think there's a, actually there is. I've read in this book called The Song Machine, and they talk about that
that.
there's a formula to creating hits. And oh, the Song Machine is probably one of the best books I've ever read on music and the art of music. And it was, I don't know if you've ever read it. If you haven't read The Song Machine, it is a, I can't remember the author. I have to look over at my books to figure out, remember the author.
If you could, please
I think
share
John
this with me.
Seabrook. Yeah,
Mhm.
I will. I think his name is John Seabrook, I believe. But he writes in The Song Machine this this story of just music and the creation of music, and how even what you're talking about, the visualization of music, and how all of it just comes together to create this wonderful, just wonderful masterpiece. But yes, the book is called The Song Machine. A great book on
I
music.
forgot to mention, I think, one more thing about it, just to add to the previously said. I love psychology.
Mm.
I learned, shouldn't say a lot, but lots of material, right, about psychology and all kinds of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if everyone realizes that, but music is a psychological tool,
It sure is.
right? Big time. It's probably the first thing that comes to my mind. It impacts you at the psychological level,
I would
outside of
agree.
something at the genetic level, which probably mostly I would say driven by the percussion, right?
Mm.
But everything else would be psychological level. It could make you cry. It could make you, it could motivate you. It could make you laugh, right? So that is one of the things that is always in my mind when I'm working on the next song.
Yeah, that's good. I think, as you said, music is psychological. It's funny because when I was going to go to college, my first intuition of classes that I was going to take, I wanted to be a psychologist. I don't know why. Psychology was my favorite subject. I loved it. I loved it for all the wrong reasons, though. I loved it for all the wrong reasons. I wanted to figure out how to mess with people's heads. And I was going to
I
go to
just
school.
thought so.
That's right. I was. I'm going to be a psychologist. And what really turned me in a different direction, more into the business realm, which is where I've been for, oh gosh, the past, oh gosh, 20 something years, was I was working at a furniture store. And at the furniture store was I think it was a young lady that I was working with who was a psychologist and went to school for to be a psychologist. And she said, Brian, you don't want to do that. She said, look where we both work. I said, oh, she was full time at the furniture store where I was, and she said, look where we both work. I'm here and you're here, so that should tell you. I was like, oh, okay, then I guess I don't want to be a psychologist anymore. But I said, okay, I'm going to go for business then. And that's what I did. But yes, she was like, yeah, you don't want to do that. But back to what you
I
were
want
saying.
to,
No, no,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to throw a comment. I think, you know what, I don't know if lots of people realize that, but in my mind, a great career path would be take some psychology. Not a whole lot of it, don't go to clinical psychology, but some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest, take sales, marketing, or business.
Right. That's right. Yep.
That's it. That's it.
And at that time, I was doing sales. So, but yeah, I mean, back to what you were saying, music is hits people on a psychological level because it really resonates from my opinion, it resonates in a person's soul. You can listen to a song and it can bring up so many different emotions and feelings that a person can have. I mean, I remember how music has shaped my life in many different situations, different songs carrying you through certain situations and always going back. You know, you hear people say, this song got me through this. But I mean, but why? That's because it has some type of psychological impact on you that help you deal with whatever crisis you were dealing with at that time. So
Yes,
I love it. I believe the same thing. Music has a deep impact on us as individuals.
if used right. If used right.
If not used the way I was going to use psychology when I was, when I was growing up. But
Well,
yes.
I have to tell
Oh
you
yeah.
this. That is speaking of psychology. Um, there's one song that is not released yet. It's very emotional song. It's very theatrical as well. And I sent it for one of those crowded reviews where people
Mm-hmm.
listen to it and they have to fill a
Right.
quite a long
Yep.
form, right? And grade it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really surprised to see of all this great grades. It really graded very well. This one.
It's always one.
So it was a female, about maybe 24-year-old, I think, as far as I remember. You can see the age and the gender
Mm-hmm.
and a few things of
Right.
each participant. And she graded it 1 of 10
Wow.
out of 10. Among all the others who graded it very high, which is thank you. But
Right.
and I was reading then the comments that she put. So I can't quote it. I don't remember. But what she said was, "It is extremely bad song. It made me cry."
Mm. Wow.
I
I mean,
was, oh my God, this is the best grade of all.
you're right. And it probably doesn't mean that it's a bad song. It touched her in a different way emotionally that caused,
Exactly.
and I'm just speculating, right? That caused some
No,
type of
well, that
emotion
is
and
exactly
reaction,
that's.
right?
Mhm.
Yep. And it like I said, music hits us all differently, and it has a different impact every time we hear that song. We have songs that can get us through, breakups and makeups and crises and all types of things. And music, that's why I love music so much, more than anything, because it helps us to really there's a connectedness with music and with people. And yeah, so that's at least that's why I do
True.
music. But but yeah. So in that same regard, I'm sure as you were dealing with music and getting acclimated back to this world, you've probably succumbed to some challenges. So I like to talk about what challenges have you experienced and how did you overcome those challenges?
I don't think I'm gonna invent a wheel here. Um, it would be probably a very safe assumption that every musician is experiencing more or less the same challenges. And those are, as usual, well, how do you create something that is of a very high quality if because you need some partners, you need to collaborate with something, you need to find this talent to work with you, right? So that's number one. And then I guess this old big challenge of, okay, how do you make people to listen to what you created? How to promote your music? How to bring it out there so that people at least say something about it,
Mm-hmm.
be it good or bad.
Right.
So those two, I don't think I'm, opening in America now.
Right.
Everyone, I believe, is experiencing the very same challenges.
Mm.
How did I do it? Well, first of all, yeah, I started looking, learning, reading,
Mm-hmm.
seeing what other people doing, literally researching. And I guess, yeah, it is fair to say I put significant effort in research.
Yeah, I think research is critically important. I wish more people did it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I started looking for similar, musicians who's quite successful or at least known, right, on that musical radar screen. And I started looking how they've been working piece by piece, because this
Mm.
information is not on your regular Google search, right? You have to do
Right.
a real research to find out. So I found few places, few websites. Some of them were quite helpful in order to be able to find this talent, and I think it worked.
Mm.
I think it worked. And one more thing is networking. Networking means probably a big fortune when you're starting, right? And
Right.
you need to know how to network. If sitting and cooking something by yourself in a dark
Mm-hmm.
room
Mm-hmm.
ain't gonna help, right? So you talk to people, you ask questions, you find out more and more and more, and you make friends,
That's right.
right? And then as of a sudden, you see things starting to the pieces of the puzzle, they all starting to.
Mm. Yeah, and I think networking is a critical component of, I would say, almost any industry, but more
Anything.
any industry, but specifically the music industry, right? I mean, I do video as well, and so you have to learn how to network with other videographers and actors and colorists
Of course.
and editors and all these other folks. Same thing on the music side. As an
Hmm.
artist, as a music producer, composer, you still have to do that same process. Now, I know with COVID, it was a little difficult to network, but I find it very interesting that even though I wasn't able to attend as many as almost or any events, that I just had to really revert to social media networking and reaching out to people and building relationships through that medium as well, because I was no longer able to see them face to face, shake their hands, and talk to them in that capacity, in that type of environment. And so that just leads now to learning more about how to do those things online, kind of through mediums like this as well. But I am a face-to-face person. I love face-to-face interaction and being around people and talking to people, and that's my natural, just tendency is to. I can't wait until the day we can all be back into networking and engaging with one another in that capacity, because I do miss that. But I mean that is critically important to do.
Totally agree.
Totally agree. Okay, so I want to talk about your music in detail. There's a couple of songs I want to talk about. There's a couple of songs I want to talk about. And I really want to know and understand your creative process behind these. There's three of them. Behind these three songs, what really sparked the idea? How did you really network and to get these songs? I think almost all of these songs has. I think is Chris. Is it Hodges? Is it Chris Hodges?
I work with Chris a lot, yeah.
Yep. So I think they one or two has Chris Hodges on it, and it also has Bo, who's a Houston artist as well. Uh, okay, so for the first song, your creative process and thought process around Adrenaline Storm. So,
I
we, so
guess
we'll,
this one
we'll,
is
we'll, we'll
quite
we'll start there.
this one is quite obvious, right? Uh, it's probably one of 1,000 attempts to relate uh, to what's happening to everyone in the last 2 years, right? And I was even thinking maybe there's another 1,000 musicians or singers who would probably come up with this topic because it's so obvious, right? And I thought maybe I should. Um, it's too obvious, right? But at the same time, when we put the first um, few demos together, it did sound good. I liked it. In this song, what I was trying to achieve is to mix few genres and mix them in such a way where they actually really complement each other. So it is a rock song, right? But you notice there's a rap in it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you scream in a song so that you
Mm.
don't actually produce the screaming, annoying sound?
Right.
You put that rap in it. That's what I was thinking, right?
Okay.
Because rap, first of all, rap is usually very fast. So much of information per second, so much more,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can deliver quite a more in your message when you're rapping. Also, rap, especially some types of it, I call it sort of slap in the face rap
Mm.
for its emotion, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
really aggressive, but aggressive in a way it delivers the message aggressively, not that it's aggressive
Right.
by
Mm-hmm.
itself,
Now I
right?
know what you mean.
So, and that's why I thought, well, if I mix this, you know, 80s rock into a little bit more of a modern, with the hints of cinematic sounds, backtrack,
Mm-hmm.
and basically diluted, well, not diluted, sorry, wrong word, I'm taking it back, amplified with the uh, embedded, you know, areas where the rap is, it
Mm-hmm.
might really sound, um, it might shine,
Mm-hmm.
right? And and I've seen some people do it. I've seen some duos, and I realized, holy God, it just um, sounds really good when you have a rock singer and a rapper at the same time. It's not quite
Mm-hmm.
frequent that I listen to something like that, right? But it does work.
It worked. Yeah, you worked, and I believe this song has both Chris and Bo on it at the same time. If I remember listening to this one,
Yes.
right? And so they complement one another too in this song, and it
How
was,
otherwise?
huh?
They have to.
Say the,
It's a
yeah.
duo.
Well, it's a duo, right? But sometimes you listen to some duos, you can kind of go, okay. I think y'all kind of forced that one, but
They must work together. It's a teamwork. If
that's
if
right.
if each of them just trying to present something on their own, that's not going to work.
Right.
Guaranteed. It's an old school rule, right? They must work together. They must complement each other. They must sound appropriately, right? On a
Mm-hmm.
contrast to each other. But it doesn't mean that one means looks like he's trying to lead or drives right and the other one drives left. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's a teamwork. Even
Right.
so, I have to tell you this: the song was recorded totally remotely, asynchronously. So the Chris's
Nice.
track was recorded separately,
Mm-hmm.
and a Bo's track was recorded separately, and then we had to, slice and dice it in a
Mm-hmm.
mix.
Right. Right. And there's moments at the time when, Bo and then Chris and Bo and Chris and they're sometimes at the same time and right. So that's where that synergistic harmony has to come in to ensure that they sound and complement one another well. And
When
that's
you
what I was
clo-
talking
when
about.
Yeah, when you close your eyes and you listen to this song, right? I
Mm-hmm.
hope you envision these two on stage,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Standing next to each other, pretty much, and performing, right?
Right.
If you don't have this kind of, if you can't envision anything like that, it means it didn't work.
Mm. That's right. And
That was
so
my
yeah.
criteria, right? That was my
Mm-hmm.
personal criteria. I would just show the song to somebody and ask, hey, what do you see? Close your eyes, what do you see?
Right.
Outside of seeing people wearing masks and whatnot, what do you see?
Mm-hmm.
How is it being performed, right?
Yeah.
And when I hear
That's right.
people say, I see these two singers on stage, whew,
That's right. Well, and that's how you know you accomplished the mission and the goal of whatever you set out for that particular song. And that's how you know it's a job well done. When people can convey that back to you and say, this is
mhm.
exactly what I envision, or this is what I hear, or this is how I interpret that song, then yes, mission accomplished. Because I think you did that as well. With that, when I first and I went through a bunch. There's a whole bunch of other songs that's in there too. But when I heard Adrenaline Storm, I was like, oh yeah, I can hear this. I can see this. I can hear the alternative hip hop with the cinematic, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it had different elements. You find not many producers who can play, and I don't know how many instruments you play, and I know you went to school, as you said in the beginning, but there's different instruments that are in there from percussion. I mean, there's just so many different feelings in that song, and now I think you did a great job, which is why Adrenaline Storm was the first one I wanted to talk about.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next one is Mind in a Maze. Yeah, see? hmm So the same thing. What was kind of the thought process and the creative process behind Mind in a Maze?
Well, I believe what triggered it was hmm, anything to do with Dan Brown novels. I love pretty much all of them. I love all these movies, and I believe that's what inspired me to um, come up with the song. It's basically a tribute to Dan Brown.
All right.
So yeah, and just just looking at the lyrics itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's quite obvious. What are we talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe, yeah, that's probably the only thing that was the inspiration to write the
Okay.
song.
So let me ask you. So let me go back and clarify. So in what way did Dan Brown was he influential for this song? What was it about him
Well,
specifically?
if you look into his stories, right, his books like Da Vinci Code and
Mm-hmm.
let's say
Angels and Demons.
exactly Angels
Yep.
and Demons, Inferno, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all about pretty much the same subject matter, right? It has
Right.
a lot to do with beliefs, be
Mm-hmm.
it belief driven by the charge or otherwise, right? And also by frustration or by the um, lack of strengths, the personal strengths that allows you
Mm.
to lead, to drive, not other people, yourself, right?
Right.
And lots of confusion. And the way I see it, those novels were written quite a while back. But I see whatever is happening today is probably even more amplified as it relates to what he was talking about. The actual message that was delivered. I know it's all adventure story about finding this or finding that and all kinds of clues and whatnot, right? But there's a very foundational level message uh, in all his novels, right? Which is, by the way, psychological in nature,
Yes, I do know. Oh yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
that is what is that's what lays behind this song, that big message or series
Okay.
of messages.
Right. Well, good. Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that, and I love the explanation and inspiration behind that song. I mean, when you go back and listen to it, and for those who are going to listen to it and read the lyrics, it'll make so much sense as to why that is the motivation behind that song. All right. So the last one that I have is Blast Wall.
Ooh,
Yeah. And there's a
this
couple other
one,
ones in there too, but yeah,
mm-hmm. Last one.
Blast Wall.
It's a military rap. I think it also was probably caused by um, one of the movies. Uh, I don't know if you had a chance to read a little bit of. I'm not sure if I put it anywhere. A bit of a story behind it.
No, I didn't.
The
I
story.
don't think I saw a story behind Blast Wall.
It's a story about a sniper
Oh.
who's basically laying there in the dark, looking,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens that he has to wait a lot, right? A lot, a lot, a lot, a
Yes,
lot,
they
a
do.
lot,
Yes, they do.
to the point where it becomes unbearable, so that he starts talking to his bullet, and the bullet talks to him too.
All right. No,
I
that's
think
you
enough
know,
said, right?
yeah. Wow. I love that. I love to hear stories about how people created the songs that they created because there's always some type of what's the word I'm looking
A
for?
visual.
Yeah, there's a visual, there's a story, there's always a different meaning to the context of the song itself that you may, oh wow, so that's what the song really is about. Like who would have thought the song was about a sniper talking to his bullet and the bullet responding back? You know,
But you
because you're
can
right.
totally relate to it, right? Like
Yes,
the
you
guy
can.
just is there. It's dark, and he's like watching, right, and laying. It could be like hours, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may as well go crazy, right?
That's right.
Because you are under tremendous pressure, right? And obviously, we're talking about some scenario that may be happening somewhere in Syria or Afghanistan or one of those hot
Mm-hmm.
places, right? Something to do with terrorists, whatever the environment is. And then, like, you're there, it's hot, you're all by yourself, and
All by
you
yourself.
lay in, yeah, you lay in and waiting. And how do you maintain sanity?
Mm-hmm.
How much of a personal, physical, mental strength one has to have in order to maintain sanity when
Mm.
you're going through all of the, terrible things?
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Wow. Well, kudos because I listen to a lot of different songs. Black Dress. I listen to um, Let's Get Freaky. Um, and all those were great, but when I heard these three, I was like, wow. They just had a different feeling and vibe to them that stood out to me the most when I heard those songs. I was like, oh, okay, I
Thank
can
you.
really hear uh, creativity in all of these, and each of these has an element of cinematic music to it. And the reason I know is because I have two. I can't call them boys anymore. They're like young men. They're 18 and 20, and that's what they listen. I have an 18-year-old. That's all he listens to is cinematic music. He doesn't listen to any other
Do you know
music.
why?
Now, I don't know. I don't know why he listens to it.
Let's
It's for
let's
him.
think about it. Let's think about it. So, um, what is cinematic music? Cinematic, when you hear it, right, compared to something that you get in your mind, associate
Hmm.
with, a regular band playing somewhere, in a, I don't know, in a bar, right?
Right.
Cinematic music always comes with lots of visuals.
True.
It is in your mind
True.
already imprinted. When you hear cinematic music, you automatically associate it with something visual. You visualize it.
Hmm.
So that was my
That's
idea.
true.
And here comes psychology, right? So
Hmm.
if you sprinkle whatever the song or music you're writing, if you sprinkle it with cinematic elements, you're amplifying the visuals. Be it a
Mm.
rock song or rap, whatever. If you throw in a little bit of cinematic in it, you help your listener to actually visualize the message that you're trying to deliver,
Hmm.
as opposed to closing the eyes, not visualizing anything, and just enjoying the vibe,
Right. Right.
right? And
Yes.
there's lots of perfect songs where you don't have to even understand what this song is about, right?
Hmm.
You just dive into it and you enjoy the vibe, right? But when you want to deliver the message, I was thinking, well, let's try to use tools.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, he loves cinematic music, but I understand where it comes from because of the games that he plays and the world that he's in. And so he creates worlds, right? So he and that's he's a writer, and he's a storyteller, and he's a world builder, and so he's
Hmm.
creating worlds, right? And so Tolkien is like one of his. If he's watching, he's probably sitting and watching. Like Tolkien is a guy that he looks at and go, "Wow, this is a guy who created his own language in the Lord of
Hmm.
the Rings films and a lot of cinematic." Now, I would say I do have all of the Lord of the Rings actual soundtracks myself because they just sound amazing. But it is that visualization once again. I find myself as I communicate with him or listen to some of the things that he's listening to that I hear songs with those cinematic elements and I'm drawn more to them. And
Hmm.
for an example, there's a song out now by Imagine Dragons called Enemy. And it was on a cartoon that my sons had me watch. But when I heard that, I was blown away, like, whoa, listen to this song. Listen to just the elements of the song and how they bring all these cinematic pieces together and his vocals. And it was like, whoa, I felt like in a different place. So I have it on my phone now so I can listen to it anytime I want to. But it's like, I get it. I get why he listens to the cinematic music because I don't know, I guess it puts him in a different place. Like I said, it goes back to that psychology. Music touches people in a different way and it kind of brings out those different emotions. I don't know, whenever I hear it, I feel like a champion. It's that cinematic champion music.
This is too obvious, right?
Right.
But cinematic music could be pretty different.
Mm.
Doesn't have to be all about epic, as we usually. I think lots of people kind of relate cinematic music with something epic.
Hmm.
Mm-mm. No,
Doesn't have to
no,
be.
it's not. Doesn't have to be.
Right.
Exactly.
That's right. So let
Exactly.
me ask. So let me ask you this: as we, so we've been talking for a while now. So I'm interested in hearing, just throughout your career, what has been the biggest piece of advice that you've taken or that you've received that has helped you in your career?
Well, I think this one was by my dad, and it's very well-known saying and piece of advice: do it well or not at all. Uh, I believe it's very important in my mind. And the second piece of advice, patience and dedication, those two are extremely important.
Yeah.
I think if you have these two, do it well or not at all, and then be patient and dedicated, I think if you're, unless you're
Mm.
totally unlucky, you probably well set for success.
Right. I love
And by
that.
success, I don't mean anything like being well known or success, meaning, yeah, you achieved something,
Right. I tell
right?
everybody that you have to define what success means to you. Some people want to be rich and famous. I just want to be rich. I
Sure.
don't have to be famous. But, to each their own, they have to define for them what success is and then work towards that. But I love that phrase, do it well or not at all. I, oh gosh, yes. I think that's probably the biggest. If you're going to do it well, or don't do
Hmm.
it at all, right?
Hmm.
And for me, another one is Yoda. Um, there is no try. There's only
Hmm.
do. Like
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
there is no try. We either going to do it or you're not. And so,
Hmm.
but yeah. So would that be the same piece of advice you would give to anyone getting into this music industry today, or are there other things that you've learned that you would share with them about getting
I
into
would
this
give this
world?
advice to my son. It means I would give it to anyone else too, right?
That's right. That's right. So y'all hear that? Do it well or don't
Yeah,
do it
do
at
it well
all.
or not at all.
Or don't at all. And for all of you who are not doing it well, stop. Stop it. I'm not calling out any names. Or nor am I judging, but some of
Or
y'all not doing
maybe
it
just
well.
go back and practice, practice,
And
practice. Learn,
practice.
do,
And
work, work,
reassess.
work, 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 reassess, analyze,
That's
research.
right.
Come back when you really ready.
Yeah. But I think so many people are caught up in the facade of social media and the facade of just culture, what they see, that we no longer really strive for, and I don't want to say perfection, but we no longer strive to just to be great at what we do. I remember growing up and listening to artists, and artists, they practiced to be great at what they did. I don't know if that's,
I
I don't
think,
know.
you know what, let me guess. Maybe there's lots of people who think that, oh, you know what, there's this girl on stage with guitar, and, millions are listening to her and whatnot, right? Maybe I also have that naturally born talent. So why don't I just go and try?
Right.
Maybe you
Exactly.
do, but maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Wow. So this has been great to learn more about you, to learn more about your music and the inspiration behind your music. So what's next for you?
Whew. A few songs actually that are in the works. A couple are pretty much ready, just waiting for the release date. And I don't know. There's always something.
There's always something. There's always something. Well, I can't wait to hear whatever that something materializes to be. And so I know
I
from what I've
just
heard, sounds great.
I'm just experimenting, and the next one that will be released end of this month is fully um, featured hip hop rap with cinematic.
Oh yes, that's perfect.
Actually, it's a hip hop rap song over rock cinematic backtrack.
Okay.
And then the next one is an old school 80s rock. One of the
Oh
songs
wow.
where one of the songs where you want to light up a lighter or your phone and start listening.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be like a more than words type of song from, um, oh God, Extreme, which is one of my favorite songs. Which is one of my favorite songs.
But it comes with very serious lyrics.
Okay.
Very, very, very deep
Mm.
lyrics.
Well, I can't wait to hear that one.
And I was super lucky to have a very famous guitar player actually helping me with some guitar tracks.
Nice. Well, kudos to that guitar person for bringing his or her skill set to the table. So that's yes, 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 yes. So, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Ooh, you caught me off guard. uh, Actually, I don't know. I would like to say thank you to all these people who actually thank you for being listeners,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
especially to those who are consciously listening. That's I guess what's important.
Perfect.
No matter how much you self-contained,
Mm-hmm.
you're still doing it for somebody, not just for your own purpose. Because by the time your song is ready, you hate it. You can't listen to it anymore.
Right, right.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Your
I
ears are
do.
fried, and you just hate it.
I do. But yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here without the people to support us and to appreciate what we do. So I concur. I agree with that, most definitely. So if you wouldn't mind, as we close out, where can people find you and where people can find your music to take part of this journey with you?
It's pretty much in every music store. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music. Pretty much everywhere under the name of Nasmore, which is my project. Or there's more information and the lyrics, by the way, that's published as well on our website, which is www.nasmore.com, and on social media as well. YouTube, uh, actually, for the most recent song, we even produced a little bit of video where you can enjoy Mr. Chris Hodges
Mm-hmm.
singing, and that's pretty much it.
All right, perfect. So if you wouldn't mind sticking around for just one moment as I close us out. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in to another interview segment here with music composer, songwriter, and producer Nasmore. Oh wow, it was just great to for me personally, to hear the creativity process behind some of the music that he has put out. Go check out the music. Go to the website. Go to Spotify, the Bandcamp, all those different places that he mentioned, because he has some great things sitting out there for you to. That's going to bless your ears. That's all I can say. So go take a listen to it. Make sure to support as well. And make sure to support us here at We Create Music TV by subscribing to our channel, of course, hitting the notification bell so you can be notified when we drop new content, and give us a thumbs up if you like this content and what we're bringing to the music community. Greatly appreciated. Once again, you can always catch us every Monday and Thursday night at 7 p.m. for our interview segments, and you can catch us every Thursday at 2 p.m. for all the other videos that we drop. right? So we have a video each week at 2 p.m. right here on We Create Music TV. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.